Hello, my name is Dr. Selena Samuels and I'm the Chief Learning Officer at Chloe Learning. I've been in education for over 30 years now, and I've worked in schools and universities and as a consultant, and worked right across from early years right through to the tertiary sector. Over the years, I've worked with many high achieving and motivated students. These are some of the key strategies that I've observed to be of greatest value in maintaining students' focus and keeping them on track. Establishing consistent good habits is much more effective than cramming or pulling all-nighters to really learn a concept and to achieve well educationally. It's important for parents to communicate these strategies and to support your children to keep coming back to these simple but highly effective tricks. I'm going to start with active learning. Students are taught that effective study involves reviewing class notes, which is often interpreted as simply reading them over and over. The problem with this kind of learning is that it's passive. Students are just dragging their eyes over the same words rather than doing anything tangible with what they're learning. This doesn't really embed what they've learned in their long-term memory. It's better that they do something with what they're learning, such as answering questions, even planning an answer. And it's better to rewrite quotations rather than just repeating them over and over again to themselves. The very best way to apply what you've learned is to teach it to someone else. I give this advice all the time. Encourage your child to teach you what they're learning. Not only will it consolidate their learning, you will also pick up the depth of their understanding and whether they might need to go over it again. They can also teach themselves. I'm often encouraging my students to rehearse phrases and explain concepts to themselves just using a mirror. Another effective way for students to embed a concept or set of facts is to teach it to themselves while they go for a walk. Now, they will get some funny looks because they'll be talking away to themselves, but walking is a great way to consolidate knowledge. Which leads me to my second point: keep moving. Everyone knows the value of exercise, but stressed students often convince themselves that they don't have time to do any. The truth is that even a little bit of exercise, a brisk walk around the neighbourhood, some morning stretches, turning the music up and dancing around the house, is a great way to let off steam and reset energy levels. So encourage your children to do whatever they enjoy and feels good for them. There's also evidence that exercise has a very positive impact on learning. Exercise can increase the effectiveness of neurotransmitters, improving the communication between neurons in the brain, which is how we actually make connections between the different things that we learn, which makes the things we learn stronger and easier to recall. Exercise can also combat things like depression and fatigue, and there is very recent evidence, which I'm very interested in, that the consistent rhythm of walking can act like meditation in calming the nervous system and reducing stress. Trick number 3, set SMART goals. Rather than just sitting down to study, it's useful to start by setting clear goals. SMART goals, and you've probably heard this acronym before, are specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and timely. If students set SMART goals, they're more likely to start and finish what they start, and what they achieve will fit into their bigger learning goals. Part of the timely element is that it helps students to understand how long a task will take, which is useful for time-limited assessments like exams. And equipping students with time management skills is of course beneficial for all other activities and their future employment. So it's pretty important. Number 4, block social media, a controversial one. Now, I'm not suggesting that you embark on the struggle to block your child's Instagram account altogether. However, it's really important that students avoid diluting their valuable learning time with the distraction of social media pinging in the background. Of course, they will tell you that they can multitask, but multitasking is a myth. The reality is that every time they turn their attention from their work to their Instagram feed, they simply lose focus. The same is true for their parents, by the way. Nobody can genuinely concentrate on 2 things at once. There are apps like Off Time and Space that will block social media during specific times if you think this will help. It's good practice to establish some routine around this as early as possible so that your child makes a distinction between learning time, which is social media free, and relaxation or play. I'm not suggesting that you should ban them from social media altogether. I think it's all about balance. Number 5, get enough sleep. Researchers link sleep with mental acuity, achievement, and of course, learning. Scientists are starting to see a strong connection between sleep and memory consolidation. There's also a direct correlation between students getting enough sleep and their ability to perform in tests. For teenagers, this means 8 hours or more each night. It actually means between 7 and 8 hours for adults as well. In addition to impairing their ability to learn and remember, lack of sleep seems to cause a raft of health problems, including weight gain, high blood pressure, and an increased risk of heart disease. As parents, you have a primary responsibility to help your children get enough sleep. That might mean requiring them to hand in their devices at a set time each night. There is plenty of evidence that one of the major causes of children not getting enough sleep is access to their phones and social media in the middle of the night. This, in turn, can lead, as we know, to mental health concerns. And I really cannot stress enough how important it is to make sure that you are monitoring how much sleep they get. Number 6, manage their study space. Doing a lot of study also means that your child will spend a lot of time in one place, probably at their desk, in their bedroom. Even if we set aside the potential damage to the spine of working in a slumped position, spending a lot of time in bed or on the sofa just seems to make it harder to switch off social media or to resist the allure of Netflix. To be efficient, students need to treat study like a job. Help them to achieve a decent setup, enough space to spread out, tools that are fit for purpose, including computer, calculator, textbooks, and a good and comfortable chair. Make sure that their study space is warm or cool enough and that they have enough light to work. Let them put up their favourite photos. Let them decorate it as they need. You want the space to feel comfortable, welcoming, and that it truly belongs to them so that when they are working, they feel calm and positive. This is even more important if they share their space with a sibling or any other member of the family. They need to have a corner that is their own. But it doesn't mean that they should always work away from the rest of the family. For younger students, I definitely recommend that you set up their workspace in a shared space where you can just keep an eye on them and make sure that they know what they're doing. A lot of students, particularly younger ones, really resist going off to their bedroom to do their homework because they don't like being away from the family, and they can actually cut off the extra noise. They can shut it out and they can concentrate quite well. So be guided by their needs and by their preferences. Number 7, use a calendar properly. Successful students always know when tasks are due and when to start them, so there's no last minute panic. They can achieve this by making good use of their calendar or planner or their school diaries, but you may need to show them how. Encourage them to mark when an assignment is due or an exam is scheduled, and then work backwards to when they need to start their prep. Some students use a colour code to prompt the appropriate use and sense of urgency. If they plan to start drafting an essay 2 weeks before it's due, for example, they can colour the first week in their calendar a soft pink and the second week a steady gradation to bright red, so that they really recognise when they need to focus their attention. And of course, a lot of kids really find colour effective. Number 8, take advantage of feedback. Educational thinkers and researchers all pretty much agree that feedback is the secret source of learning. The best feedback is not just retrospective, it also tells the student where they should focus their energy moving forward so that they learn from their mistakes and know how to replicate their successes. It is important that your child doesn't just focus on the marks their teachers gives, and nor should you. Make sure they read the comments and advice that they are given. If they don't feel that they've received any useful feedback, encourage them to ask for it. Feedback is so much more than just a grade or a mark. If your child's teacher is happy to read assignment drafts, encourage them to take advantage of this generosity. But remember, last-minute feedback is less meaningful than regular feedback and allowing opportunities for revision. Number 9, read the question. It might sound obvious, but successful students carefully read questions before they answer. It's easy to read a question superficially and conclude you can't answer it, or substitute it in your mind with a question that you'd prefer to answer. It's surprising how often this happens. I always tell my students that the best way to ensure that they've read and understood the question is to underline the important words. Sometimes it helps to paraphrase the question by using the phrase, "This question is asking me to," whatever. Parents can definitely practice this kind of paraphrasing with their children to build their confidence in tackling questions, no matter how unfamiliar they may seem on the surface. It's important to just keep reminding students that they will be able to answer the question, and that if they think they can't, the chances are they haven't read it carefully enough. Number 10, ask for help. Successful students know that they don't have to go it alone. That doesn't mean it's all on your shoulders either as their parents. Helping them find a genuine learning partner, possibly a friend, a study buddy, or a tutor, means that they can always have someone with whom to test their ideas, who can give them meaningful, relevant, and timely advice. When your child doesn't know how to tackle those maths problems, and you don't either, or they're struggling to start that essay, a tutor will listen carefully, help your child identify what is confusing them, and patiently steer them back on the right track. Sometimes we all need a little bit of expert help to give us the confidence to keep going. And the important thing is, remember, it's their work, it's their study, it's their exams. You can help them, you can support them, and importantly, you can love them. But in the end, they're going to have to do it themselves. And it's that independence which really will build their resilience. Good luck.